This video shows how to set up the Lactaid lab. So we're going to need dairy relief pills, and the brand name is Lactaid. We're going to need some milk to digest with our Lactaid. And then we're going to need some urinalysis test strips that specifically test for glucose. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 3 pills out of our Lactaid. So they look like that. I already put them in here, and then I just crushed them up with a popsicle stick. So it helps to like kind of hold them against the side and like smash them up against the side like this. So I've already done that. Next, what we're going to do is add 100 milliliters of water to our pills. And mix it up best we can. If you've got some chunks in there like this, just kind of try to like separate them. And then we're going to pour half of it into a second beaker. Okay, so I'm taking my 100 milliliters of Lactaid, making sure it's pretty well suspended, and then I'm going to pour half of it into, I overdid it a little bit, half of it into my second beaker. All right, so notice I've got one labeled regular Lactaid and the other one labeled heat-treated Lactaid. I'm gonna go and take this heat-treated Lactaid and I'm gonna put it in the microwave for like 3 minutes. Maybe a little less since we've only got one beaker. And what we're trying to do here is boil the water, and in that sense the Lactaid will also be boiled, and so it's gonna reach like 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So once that is done microwaving, we'll put the beaker in a water bath just to help bring it back down to room temperature. So in the meantime, I'm going to set up my testing mat. So here's my mat. And what I'm going to do is just put 5 drops of milk in each of my little sample puddles. Doesn't have to be 5, it can be 6, but you know, same amount in each one. Okay. So in the meantime, I'll show you the test strips. So this is what the urinalysis test strip looks like. So you can see there's all these little color pads on it, and on the back of the jar it tells you what each of them test for. So various things that at the doctor's office they would want to, you know, check to make sure they're hopefully not in your urine. So like if you had like white blood cells in your urine, that would be bad. So we care about the bottom one, glucose. We're going to be finding out how much free glucose, like just the single glucose monomers, is in our samples of milk. Let's see that. Oh yeah, there we go. That's very done. That is super boiled. Overboiled it. Okay. Okay. So I'm just putting that in some room temperature water just to help bring it back down to temperature. Okay, where were we? So we're looking mostly at glucose. We want to find out how many monomers of glucose there are in our milk. And we're going to have 3 puddles. Our control group, which we'll just leave as plain old milk. Then we're going to have our regular Lactaid. So we're going to take our unheated Lactaid and we're going to add that to some milk. And then the heat-treated Lactaid, we're going to put that in our last sample of milk. So we're going to see how does Lactaid affect milk normally, and then once we microwave and boil and really heat up that Lactaid, what happens then. So if we wanted to, we could add some plain water to this, like 5 drops of water. I've got about 5 drops there. There we go, just to dilute it. Keep our controller amount. I forgot a dropper. Okay, so there's our control. We could just add regular water to it, or we could just leave it as is. And then we're going to add in our regular Lactaid pills to our second one. We're gonna do 5 drops. Okay. And then our heat-treated Lactaid. Let's see if it's cool. Yep, that's pretty much room temperature. Gonna add our heat-treated Lactaid to the last one. Okay, now we're gonna let them sit for a little minute. In the meantime, we could get our test strips ready. So what I did is I cut off just the glucose test strip, so just the bottom one. We don't need the rest of them. And I need 3, 1 for each of my samples. So what we're going to do is we're going to dip the color pad in our milk sample for each of them. Right now we're just giving the enzyme time to work, so if it's actually working, then it will start digesting our milk sugar. Okay, I feel like it's been about a minute. All right, so we're gonna dip our pads in there. And if we see a color change, that will tell us that our enzyme was breaking down the milk. And then we gotta give them a little bit of time to work. All right, so I'm gonna pause our video here, and then I'll just take a picture of the results.